Alright, flashback reviews are finally over, at least for the time being, but doesn't mean I cannot talk about modern movies that have came out just recently or at least last year. I'm going to be talking about these movies a little bit. Not much spoilers in a sense that I'm not going to just go into major detail like I normally do with the flashback reviews. Just give you my honest feelings. And as I talk about the films, you pretty much understand what scene I'm talking about as well as some of the changes that they have made, especially if it's a comic book movies versus my dislikes and displeasure. You'll definitely hear it from there. I might as well talk about Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, because that's one of the first of many comic book films I've seen from Marvel. And give you my honest thought first before I talk about the other two, because I saw pretty much everything except for one film. I'm going to be seeing that film later on during the week and give you my review in due time. Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has a very mixed rating. A lot of people either loved it, a lot of people either hate it. There is really no in between factor here. I'm gonna be the first to do it because I didn't hate this film. I actually liked it better than the second one, but not by much, and I'll explain as I talk about it. First off, one of the major criticisms, and I actually do agree with, is the villains. One of the major praises that I actually agree with the film is the characters. I might as well just get right to down to the point. I'm gonna stick with the overall storyline of being Spider-Man. There's a lot of stuff going on with this film, a little bit too much stuff going on. But basically, we get the scene that I think that I was kind of surprised they added in at the very beginning when we found out what happened, the fate of Peter Parker's parents and what happened to them. It was pretty much it wiped out any kind of question mark to have. We pretty much know from the very beginning. That was the very first thing we've seen, leading right up to their disappearing. It's a suitcase, that case that they have gotten right to the airplane, and it pretty much filled in even more gaps as to why they choose to have disappeared from and basically leave Peter behind. So they actually done that, which is kind of surprising because they really don't try to dive into Peter's past like that. At least in terms of the parents, we have seen something similar to that in comic books, which, in my opinion, was not really well taken care of. But in terms of this one, I don't know. I wouldn't put it in there. I'm kind of glad they did because it just wipes out um, all speculations as to the fate of Mrs. and Mrs. Parker. The thing I have a problem with is the connection with Oscorp, and I will get more into that as I get into the review. But needless to say, a lot of stuff happens, and you can pretty much say Oscorp's fault. The film quickly fast forward to present day. You see Spider-Man taking on the Rhino, or soon to be Rhino, depending on how you guys look at it and whether or not they will continue that storyline through the third Spider-Man movie. And as he's doing that, you get to see him in action. You get to see him battling Rhino, this character, and you at the same time you get to see this guilt-driven feeling being popped up every now and then, and probably the most awkward time. I'm talking about Mr. Stacy, Gwen's father. He is seen in this briefly, pretty much acting as a subconscious mind because of the promise that Peter had made to him, and the promise he's actually breaking. Eventually, this led to an off again, off again relationship with Gwen Stacy from this film. We see also Harry Osborn played, I honestly think, very well by an actor who I think I want to see more of him in the screen. I think he really showed a good screen presence. I'm still waiting for him to actually make be in a role that will make him his own, because this guy, he's very, very good. I actually loved him performing as a villain. I think he made a great villain in the Chronicles, and he definitely played the role perfectly in this film. There is some issues I have between the Harry Osborn and Peter Parker in this canon, but I'll get to that also later. Needless to say, we're finding out a lot of things. First, we found out there's a resentment towards Norman, who, out of surprise, killed off very quickly in this movie, and we found out that it's a disease that which he also inherited, and is also pretty much knocking on death's doorstep. This played an important part of his turn. Whether you agree or not, I'll leave that up to you. But we are seeing a lot of stuff in this film, and more importantly, we're seeing also Rhino, which I also not Rhino, sorry, Electro, played by Jamie Foxx. And my feeling between his character is off and on. I actually, when he was Electro, I actually liked it how he portrayed that character when he became Electro. Before he became Electro, not so much. It's pretty much of a flip coin between what Jamie Foxx was doing before and after. But overall, when he was Electro, I kind of wish they made more screen time for him. And that's where I'm pretty much torn with doing this film. Is the screen time of some of these villains. But let's get right down to it. Is the chemistry, is the actor Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. If you have heard of my last Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man review, I was not very keen on the chemistry, largely because they was trying to convince me that they're two teenagers in high school, and it just wasn't working. Here, I actually wanted to see more of them on screen. They had excellent chemistry. I think they was more relaxed. I think they were really into their parts, their characters, and even despite the weird choice of dialogue that the filmmakers have made for them. This was some of the cheesiest, stupidest dialogue I ever heard of. I didn't really mind it because they made it work. They really did made it work. I actually did enjoy them saying some of the dumbest things I ever heard them say because they really do click. If it didn't click and there was no chemistry, I probably would have focused on it more. But they had chemistry. I really did enjoy seeing them on screen. And what made the final climax of this film kind of even more sad in the sense that you will never see these two in the same in the same screen time again, especially after that ending. I kind of wish they kind of pushed it back for one more film, but I kind of sensed that was from the very beginning that was going to happen. Again, there's a whole lot of stuff going on, and to me, that hurt the film. In my opinion, that hurt the film a lot. Let's get straight down to it. The acting was fine. I think everybody had put on a very good performance. Andrew Garfield has done a very good job, a better job in this one than I think in the first one. Same thing with Emma Stone. I think Emma Stone have earned the respect of many Spider-Man fans as playing Gwen Stacy the right way, and I think that and I think the Nostalgia Critic have said it best in his own little old versus new commentary that she played it more convincingly. There was more of a story arc to her than it was with Mary Jane in the first Spider-Man trilogy. Not to say that Kristen Dunst did a bad job. She did good for what she has worked with, but you really was rooting for Gwen Stacy a lot more in this series than you probably would with the Mary Jane in the last series. And that's coming from me who didn't think the chemistry would work too well in the first one. But again, that was because they were trying to convince me they was in high school. They're not in high school, and to me they were actually more lucid. They were actually more into their role, and I think that really helped the film. Another thing I actually liked was the pacing. I actually didn't mind the slow pacing of the movie when it came to time to it. I think it gave us the time to cool down, get some story development going, which I think they did pretty good in the film, especially with Harry and Peter when they had that scene when they're talking to each other and meeting stuff for the first time. To Sally Field, which I think she was gunning for an Academy Award because she was really doing her work. I mean, she did a great job, and I actually like the fact that they changed Aunt May's story arc a little bit, because in the scene Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. She was trying to become a nurse, which is very interesting to support Peter, and the scene with her not really trying to reveal what was going on with his father is really telling. But I think she pulled it off very well. Sally Field is a fantastic actress. I really want to see her in a lot more movie roles. She has been very limited in many of these, but the roles she gets, she makes it count, and this is no exception. I'm hoping she will return to the in the third installment. If I'm hoping, knock on wood, because she really does knock it out of the park with this one. And the overall music, which I was kind of surprised and shocked that they didn't went back with Jane Holder, which I think did a good job of capturing the theme of Spider-Man. I actually thought it was okay for what they was going with. I thought the electro theme actually worked it well, a lot well than I actually give it credit for. I think they actually nailed that theme very, very good. Is the overall score memorable? No. The score really was hardly recognizable, but when that one theme, I will say, will stick to my head for a long time, and that's the electro theme, which I think they call Paranoia. If you're looking for it in iTunes or just looking to buy the soundtrack. Overall, didn't really mind too much. It is a little bit different take. Would I prefer to stick with James Holder? Yes, but I think for this one, I can actually live with. It's not terrible. It's not memorable, but it's definitely not terrible. Here's my problem. If I'm giving such good praises, what was it that hurt me in terms of getting this film together? Well, I think the first thing I need to talk about is they wasted a lot of villains in this movie. Let's be realistic here. They should have just stuck with Electro. I think this should have been his film and his film alone. We didn't need to see the Rhino. In fact, the Rhino was a non-factor. He came in the beginning, and he came in the end, and that was it. To me, they could have just left him alone for the third film. A lot of stuff was rushed at the end. I think that the dramatic scene, which I'm not really giving anything away, especially if you read the comic book, was poorly handled. The Gwen Stacy's death scene, I thought was not well treated, and it looks like they said, okay, we need to do this real quick because we cannot have it in the film. I really would have been preferred if they actually moved that to the third film and have it more dramatic, more effect. To me, it was a big rush and a big mess. The Goblin did not need it to be in this film. The Rhino did not need to be in this film. I understand they're trying to set up for a possible Sinister Six, but they could have done that as the series progressed, because it was already announced it was doing not one but two more Spider-Man films, a possible Venom film, and even a Sinister Six film. So you could actually develop this as the series progressed. To me, this was a rush job, and it's really a shame because I wanted to see more of Electro. I want to see how they will how this will progress, and it seemed like I got less of him and more of Osborn, which I don't mind. I don't really particularly mind, especially if you're developing it. But here's my other problem with this, and this is something that really bothered me even when I saw the trailer, because they made it sound like that Osborn and Harry Osborn and Peter Parker were friends. They knew each other for years, and I never once got that in the first in this movie, largely because they never mentioned anything about Harry Osborn in the first movie. He was non-existent. And this is something I want everyone to think about this, if they were such good friends and they hung out together, it would have been more easier for Peter in the first film to contact the Osborns and have a sit down and talk with them about the family, instead of him sneaking in Oscorp. Because when he snuck in Oscorp, okay, there's a new series, they don't know that Oscorp and Peter don't know each other. But here, it sounded like they would know each other for years. Granted, they said that he was shipped off to prep school because the father didn't want him and everything else. But there was just so many bad. To me, there was so much mixed up with the canon that it actually not much ruined it, but just basically scratched my head as to why couldn't they establish something in the first film and let that drag over the second film, where I didn't have to question how the hell they knew each other, because they never was mentioned each other. And that was one of my biggest beef about this whole film scenario. I understand and it was very, very clear that they actually left a lot of stuff in the cutting room floor, and for the most part, I don't know why. Maybe because they felt it was not necessary. I know the scene where Henry showing them pictures and everything else, and that was a dramatic scene. But they didn't even show that, and I'm still scratching my head as to what left them out for that. So a lot of stuff they did, they left out. I'm pretty much aware of the Mary Jane scene that they filmed but never used, which was unfortunate. But I found it necessary. Less distraction. Mary Jane is not a cameo character. It would have done me better if you just introduced her in a third film. But I felt that one kind of stuff, that kind of rush to establish the story was very distracting. But what's more hurtful is that you have villains that you simply did not need in this film. And surprisingly, he had less Spider-Man than I actually expected. He had more about Osborn, Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy, and the situation that Aunt Harry was going through with the disease. The scene that which I kind of scratched my head as to what was Spider-Man fearing in terms of not giving his blood to Harry that could possibly cure him. Was that all about? I understand there was more details, especially after it was revealed of the secret behind his powers. As you know, he found some, spoiler alert, some tokens, which led to him finding out the Roosevelt Station, and in that Roosevelt Station, he found his father's secret laboratory, which was disguised as an old train set. Found out what the last thing he downloaded before that fateful day of that plane crash. So there was some little bit of details to that. But even with that being said, and I think a lot of people have said this in the forums, he was in a no-win situation regardless. So why not just do it and basically monitor it, hope for the best? What was it that really prevented him? I didn't really see the reason why he would not have done it for his friend. But then again, this is just me. Again, that was the big distraction for me. A lot of the stuff that they have done, like I said, I can forgive the cheesy dialogue because again, I thought that Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield worked it best. Actually, it made it more fun when they did the cheesy dialogue because it shows just how much chemistry they had, how much they can work together. It actually showed just how much they really truly care for each other. I think Spider-Man gave himself a little bit away when he did that web saying "I love you" when it was revealed that she was going to go to Oxford. But in any case, I just thought that this was this was pretty much sloppily put together in that third act. It really was. They try to throw a lot of stuff at you. Pretty much the fight scene between him and Electro was pretty good, but I didn't really felt satisfied. I felt there should have been more of that kind of inner conflict instead of seeing the Green Goblin with the sole purpose of doing what he did at the end of this movie, and having Rhino, which was completely wasted. I mean, he was completely wasted. They should have had another generic villain in there. I probably would have been filmed much better. But seeing Rhino the way he was, with an actor the way you have, I felt they could have done something better than that. Again, I really do believe that this the studio's decision to put as much star power as possible, and I wouldn't mind if they know how to balance it out. And to me, they didn't balance it out well enough in this movie. Again, it's just not a bad film, honestly. This is really not a bad film. It's not a great film when it comes to other structures, but it's not a bad film. I think that if you're a diehard Spider-Man fan, you will actually enjoy this a lot more than the average moviegoer fan. Again, the feedback from both sides, all legitimate feedback. The dialogue is not that great in this movie. I can't say the pacing is bad because I wasn't bored. I actually understood it. I kind of wish I wanted more Spider-Man. That was pretty much one of my things about this film. But overall, I thought the potential was there. It was actually there, but I felt they dropped the ball on so many other things that it kept me from giving it that extra star rating. What's my rating for this film, of course? Well, it's 2.5. It's not bad. I mean, again, I think if you're a real diehard fan who just comes there for the action, it's definitely there. As a comic book 360 review, Okay, I'll give it a pretty much a B plus. It's not a terrible film at all. I don't think it's any worse than what the Spoonie have said. I know Spoonie did not like this film at all, but I can understand his point about certain things that he said because I seen what they are saying. But to me, I had to see it for myself, get my own feeling for myself, and not just let nobody tell me what it is. And I'm right in the middle with this movie. Again, I enjoyed it more than I did with the first one because the first one it rehashed. This one did too. But it did it in a way that was clever. Like the phone, when he's answering his phone, it had that amazing Spider-Man, the old classic Spider-Man theme. I actually thought that was kind of nice little nod, wink to the audience. But overall, I felt that they could have established some storylines more better, especially with Harry, with Peter. I did not once buy into that they knew each other for years. If they would have shown something in the first film, shown me some kind of connection between him and Harry, I would have been more welcome to it. But they didn't. They rushed it in. Pretty much mentioned it. The Bugle did not bother me either. I'm gonna let that know. I almost forgot. I did not mind them not showing him working in the newspapers. They did mention Jameson by name. We didn't see his face. He's still he's shining pictures to the Bugle. They may explode in the third film. They may not. It all depends. But I actually am looking forward to seeing it if they ever do. I'm actually looking forward to seeing who they will pick because the guy who played him the first time is almost impossible to place. He played it perfectly. He had the look. He had the personalities. I'd like to know who they're going to pick for that if they do decide to go that route. Nevertheless, again, there was a lot of stuff they could have done that they done wrong, but there was so many stuff they done right. I thought that the chemistry was there, the acting was there, the music was okay. But my feeling is it's the structure. I think they did poorly in terms of these characters. Too many characters should not have been in here. They did a rush job in the end, and again, that last scene, even though it was that scene with Gwen Stacy, that last scene was pretty much a bit much, even for my standards. I felt they just basically just threw it there just for the sake of throwing it there, and to me, that somewhat ruined the thing for me a little bit. But overall, if you're a comic book fan, I think you'll like this. I think you'll like this a lot more than I am. I know it's going to be out on DVD soon, so I want to give my my thoughts on it. It is a 2.5-star film for me. It's not terrible. Again, I think that if you're just a casual moviegoer, I think you will not be that welcoming to the film than those who follow the law, those who love Spider-Man, and those who really embrace what this Spider-Man is doing. So far, they're 2 down. They got 2 more to go, at least according to Columbia Pictures. So they're moving forward. And to me, I'm actually looking forward to seeing what they do with the third one. I like to see how they will continue the storyline, especially after now one of the key elements of the Spider-Man universe, at least in this series, is gone. So I like to see how Peter will mature and how they will bring new characters in that would no doubtly be in this series. So hopefully they'll learn from the mistakes he did here and use it and actually make a movie that everyone, fans and non-fans, can enjoy. But that's my review on Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I gotta remember it's amazing. What's your feeling on this? You don't have to agree with my opinion. I'd like to hear what your thoughts on it. Give me your thoughts, and if anything, just leave in the comment section. But until then, J77 saying take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.